Morning guys, Bronson here from Swellpro. If you're watching this video, then congratulations on purchasing your Splash Drone 3 Plus.
First bite of the morning.
What we're going to be doing in this video today is I'm going to be unboxing the Swellpro Splash Drone 3 Plus from the carry case, running through all the accessories and components which are going to be found in your case, as well as explaining what the purpose of each one is, assembling the drone, getting the drone ready for its first flight, and then going for our first test flight with the Splash Drone 3 Plus. So, if you are a local client from Port Elizabeth, where we're currently based, you would have come to our headquarters and collected your drone. Alternatively, like most of our clients, we would have shipped you a big, beautiful brown box that looks something like this. Inside the box, we'll find the carry case protected by this little white protector. That's what the case looks like. That's the Swellpro 3 Plus carry case. Let's open it up and see what's inside. Alright, so the first thing we're going to have a look at in the case is the drone itself, the Splash Drone 3 Plus. The only thing we need to take note of here on the first unboxing is the GPS membrane is covered by a protector. So it's got this little plastic over protecting the GPS membrane. This is obviously to protect the semi-permeable membrane so it doesn't get damaged in transit. So please take that off before your first flight. If you do not remove this, the semi-permeable membrane cannot function correctly, which means the air outside will not enter the drone and your drone's pressure will not be accurate for the barometer. The next thing I found in the bag is the landing gear for the drone. So this is the standard landing gear that comes with the Swellpro Splash Drone 3 Plus. This is standard graphite. As at Swellpro, we also offer a telemetry boosting stainless steel landing gear. This is extremely recommended for your drone as it boosts your telemetry, and it's also a lot more harder wearing than the standard landing gear. Alright, but what we're going to do is we're going to now pop this onto the drone. The landing gear is on the drone, looks nice. Make sure they're pressed in nice and firmly, and then the feet are facing down. That is the correct orientation for the landing gear feet. Next thing we find in the case is the propellers for the drone. You'll see that you get two sets of propellers. A set consists of one CCW and one CW. CCW stands for counterclockwise and CW stands for clockwise. So you'll see on your drone, on the prop seats itself, it denotes a CW or a CCW, and your prop as well as your seat must correspond. At first it seems a bit difficult to get these propellers on, but it's a press lock system. So what you do is you grab the motor itself and you hold it firmly. You place the correct propeller, as you see it's a CCW and a CCW propeller. You place it on the hub, you turn it till it feels like it wants to go in. You clamp tight, you use your palm to press down, and then you'll feel you rotate the prop, and then it locks into position. You'll notice that there is no camera attachment on the drone. In this specific video, we're not putting any cameras on the drone, as every client will utilize a different release system or camera system. But just on that note, top tip, when you perform your first test flight with your drone, please do not put your camera on. Only utilize your camera or your release mechanism once you feel acquainted with the drone, because if you are to have any sort of incident and crash your drone, at least your camera won't be on to be damaged. So this is just a precautionary measure. Don't fly with your camera for the first 2 or 3 times until you feel comfortable as the pilot of the drone. Once you're comfortable, you can put a camera device on and then utilize it. The next thing we find in the bag is the remote controller for the Splash Drone 3 Plus. So we're just going to take it out of the little bag. Got these nice little protecting foam polystyrene thingies for the joysticks. So if we have a look at the remote, it's basically what it looks like. The antennas are not on. The antennas are obviously also in the bag somewhere, so we'll have to look for that. So in the top of the case, in the lids, the side of the case, you find this little black bag. This is where I found the antennas for the remote. as well as a whole lot of additional accessories for the drone, from a spare membrane to 2 spare cushion feet, a pairing device, and all necessary cables for the charger. So let's just run through all the cables individually. Here we have the 12 volt DC cable for your charger. This only starts coming with the units as of March 2021. What this does is this plugs directly into the side port of the charger and then directly onto a 12 volt battery terminal, directly onto the poles itself. Then you can utilize your charger at the beach. So all the cables for the charger I have found in the case. This, in this little black box, is the charging cable, which plugs directly into the wall and then plugs into the charger itself. Then we have the XT60 connector. This is to charge the drone batteries, plugs into this XT60 connector on the drone battery. The next one I found is the JST connector. This is the one that plugs into the drone remote battery. Then you will find the Swellpro balance port. This one is the balance plug for the battery. Everything pertaining to the charger is specified in our how to charge your batteries video, so check that video out if you want more information on charging your batteries. But all the cables are found in the bag, and then watch the video to assist you on charging your batteries for the first time. So I was actually looking in the black bag for these two. These are your 2 antennas for your remote. You'll see the one says 2.4 gigahertz, the other one says 5.8 gigahertz. Alright, so let's place these onto the remote. You'll see there is a label here, 5.8 gig. So you take the 5.8 gigahertz antenna and you screw it on, and the 2.4 gigahertz antenna and you screw that one on. Alright, so we've got the drone assembled, landing gear is on, propellers are on, we've removed the sticker for the GPS membrane, we've got the remote controller, we've put the 2 antennas on. So then we're going to look at the last few nitty-gritty accessories you'll find throughout your bag. The first one I noticed was this lanyard. This is a lanyard that goes around your neck and clips onto your remote. You will see on your remote over there, you've got a little attachment point. So this lanyard will clip onto there and you can wear your remote around your neck without having to have it fall if you were to drop the remote. Then the last few accessories I found in this little black bag was a spare GPS membrane. If your GPS membrane is to get any sort of lubricant, if you were to clean your drone with any sort of Q20, WD-40 or anti-corrosion spray, if any of that were to get into this membrane, it will render the ability of the membrane to allow air to come into the chamber of the drone. So then you would need to replace the membrane, or alternatively, if you get a laceration in your membrane and water can enter into the chamber, you need to replace your GPS membrane. It's a very inexpensive item, but it's a very important item. So please take note of your membrane. The next thing I found was a pairing device. Your drone will come already paired. So your drone and remote is paired, but if it were ever to not be paired, you have a pairing device to pair the remote to the drone. Then I found 2 spare cushion feet. The cushion feet are underneath each leg or arm of the drone. You'll find a cushion feet that is placed inside. It's in case that one of them fall out, you have a spare one. Then lastly, I found a cable. It appears to be a cable which plugs into your computer and into the drone. This is utilized for software updates for your charger as well as your drone. Also, exciting little new item. As of March 2021, you'll find this in your drone case. This is a battery cell meter. So what you will do is you'll plug your battery in. It'll tell you the current voltage in your battery as well as what percent it is on. This will allow you to know if it's safe to utilize that battery for another ride. Then we found the paperwork with the drone. Obviously you have this first one which header states warranty, so I take it this is a very crucial document. Read through this. This pertains to the warranty for your Splash Drone 3 Plus. The next one is a nifty little stickers. Some nifty little stickers. We've got the instruction manual for the charger, and then lastly we've got the user manual, which none of you are going to utilize, but we've got the Swellpro user manual for the Splash Drone 3 Plus. Okay, now I left this for last because this is extremely important. Batteries. You're going to get 1 drone battery and 1 remote battery for your Splash Drone 3 Plus. These guys can be your best friend or your worst enemy. This is what allows you to fly your drone. So if you do not look after these batteries and you do not follow the guidelines in our battery video, then you're going to find yourself replacing these batteries frequently, and they are very expensive. So take care and make sure you understand your batteries before you try and charge and utilize your drone. Alright, so let's put the battery inside the remote. You'll turn it over. You'll notice that your little red JST connector is over here in the bottom left corner. Take your battery. Take note, it's got a slotted groove on it, as well as the JST female connector has a slotted groove. Make sure you put it in the correct way, otherwise if you mix the polarity you will blow your motherboard. So it has to go the way that it fits in correctly. You'll see over there, black on black, red on red. If you notice it's difficult, that means you probably got it on incorrectly. Do not force it in. If you force it in, you will blow the motherboard. Let's just close that up. Alright, battery is in. What we're going to do is switch the remote on. You hold both power buttons in at the same time, and you'll notice the Swellpro remote switches on. Alright, just want to show you quickly. If we switch it on, and any one of your switches, your toggle switches, are in the downward position, you will notice an alarm going off. Only once you put all switches in the up position, the remote will switch on. Next, we're going to place the battery into the drone. So let's loosen all of the GPS lid screws. There we go, open the chamber. If you look on the battery, it says keep this side up towards back of drone. So we take the battery, we put it that way into the bottom leg, we tuck the cables in, and you'll see ever so nicely it goes into position. We then put on the battery strap. The battery strap is then on, and then we then place in the XT60 connector. On that note, just note that this is obviously where current will be flowing through these cables. So do not leave this in the center like that, as it will be right underneath your GPS and this could cause interference. So what we always recommend is taking the cables and neatly tucking them away underneath the fuselage and tucking the XT60 connector back in. Right guys, so we've assembled our drone. Everything's on, props, landing gear, remotes assembled, antennas on, both batteries are in, plugged in correctly. Alright, last thing I just want to show you, we're not doing or attaching a camera for this demonstration. However, what I'd like to show you is the 8-pin plug that you plug in for any of your camera or release systems has a specific slotted groove. It can only go in one way. So please take note of that when you do plug it in, that you plug it in the correct way and do not force it in. The drone is now assembled. Let's go take it for our first test flight. Alright guys, so we've moved out to the park and we're going to attempt our first flight with our Splash Drone 3 Plus. Things I just want to point out with the drone is never fly the drone within 50 meters of any personnel or any people. It's a legal requirement, as well as try and be at least 100 meters from all houses, cables, power lines, cars, main roads, etc. So I've come out to a big open field near my house and I'm going to perform our first test flight. Alright, with the Splash Drone 3 Plus you've got your external switch. So to switch the drone on, you've already plugged the battery in. You just press the button once, give it a second or two, and then you hear the drone switch on. You'll notice now that the drone is busy doing its startup calibration. Now that it's done its startup calibration, you as the drone pilot would perform your calibration. However, I'm not going to go through that in this video. There's a whole video dedicated to calibration for your Splash Drone 3 Plus. So make sure you check the calibration out and you're acquainted with the calibration before you attempt to fly your Splash Drone 3 Plus. So the button on the furthest left says airdrop. So obviously when you got your bait release servo on, that will open and close the servo. Then the next one is for your videos and photos. So you put it into preview mode, you engage the video, you'll take a video, you come out of video, or you take a photo and you go back up. So that's for your video and photo. On this side you'll see it says GPS Smart Cruise ATI mode. GPS means your drone will have GPS lock. Smart Cruise is another flying mode, and ATT disconnects your GPS. Never try and fly in ATTI mode. Always make sure your drone is always in GPS mode. If you're ever going to ATI mode, you'll find that your drone is extremely difficult to fly, and it'll fly with the wind and keep moving on its own. So always in GPS mode, make sure. The last button you'll see is return to home. What return to home will do will increase the altitude of your drone to 20 meters. The drone will turn and will fly back to the position it took off from and then land itself over there. Now we're going to start the drone. The way in which we start the drone is both joysticks to the bottom inside corners. Switch it off, outside corners. So that is on, off. I'm going to start the drone. You'll notice I have 17 satellites. Your drone will not start unless it has at least 12 satellites. Do not attempt to fly with less than 12 satellites. Also, you'll have to look at the color flashing on your motherboard. If it's a double green, your drone is in good order to fly. If there's any red, be hesitant. Single red means interference, double red means interference and insufficient satellites. So take note of that. Make sure your pitch and roll value is stable, your yaw value is stable, battery voltage is sufficient, and you're ready for takeoff. Just a tip for taking off, it is full throttle up. Once the drone has come 2 to 3 meters off the ground, you can slow down and slowly increase your altitude. Got our drone in the air for the first time. Like I said, full throttle up. We took off nicely and now I've left the joystick and now she's hovering. Your left joystick controls your altitude up and down, and then the right joystick controls the direction of motion of flight. To steer the drone, you steer left and right while flying. So I've flown the drone far away from me. If you're ever in a situation where you're flying a drone and you're not sure which way you're facing, you're starting to get a bit nervous, just hit the return to home button. Make sure there's nothing obstructing the drone from going up. It's increasing altitude now to 20 meters and it's going to come and land where I took off. On its land, always make sure you're standing by ready with the remote to cut the motor. So as soon as it touches the ground, as a safety precaution, just cut the motors. Alright, so the drone is above us now, it's coming in for its auto land. So I'm standing ready to cut the motors of the drone. Here comes the drone. We're going to fly. As you can see, the drone is busy doing an auto land. And then as soon as it makes contact with the ground, you cut the motors. And you hold it there until the motors are dead, and now you let go. Well done on your first flight. Alright guys, so once you have become acquainted with flying your drone, then you can start putting your camera on the drone and becoming acquainted with filming or using your drone, your camera to see from the sky. Another thing I want to point out, in certain terrains where you're fishing rocky edges or rocky ledges, rocky structure, you sometimes need to catch the drone. Be extremely careful when you attempt to catch your drone. This is extremely dangerous. The drone's props are spinning at very high RPM. If that prop connects you, it's going to cause severe damage. So when you do catch the drone, make sure the pilot brings the drone down to you. You wait for the drone to come above you, you have your arm straight out, and you grab the landing gear. And the person on the drone must cut the motors, and you only bring the drone down once the motors are completely cut. Alright guys, so congratulations on making it to the end of this video. Congratulations on your first test flight in your Swellpro Splash Drone. If you have any questions or any doubt, feel free to contact us. Every one of our Swellpro clients should have a Swellpro support group. So if there's any doubt or any questions, feel free to contact us immediately.